Hey guys, welcome back to PowGang. So today we're going to go over solving big cube centers, which is 5x5, 6x6, and 7x7. This could include 4x4, but since 4x4 is the smallest of the bigger cubes, we don't really include it because this is more about solving the big cubes, and 4x4 is pretty small compared to the other big cubes. I'm choosing to demonstrate this on a 6x6 because it isn't too vague and small like a 5x5, but it isn't too big. And it's the only one that doesn't have an exact centerpiece because 5x5 and 7x7 do. So I'm going to demonstrate this today on a 6x6. So the first step, as most of you know, is solving the centers. And the way you do that is by making bars and then putting the bars together. Now you do this on just about any cube, which is 5x5, 6x6, and 7x7. It gets a little bit more difficult on bigger cubes, but right now we're going to solve the centers, and after the centers you do free slice edge pairing, which I'll make a tutorial on that. So we're going to solve big cube centers, and first I start with the white center. So what you have to do is make bars. Now to do that, they would be 4 pieces, so there will be 2 middle bars and 2 outside bars. And on 5x5, there will be 1 middle bar and 2 outside bars. And on 7x7, there will be 1 exact middle bar, 2 inside middle bars, and 2 outside bars. So first, we gotta make this bar for white. So what we do is we'd position it like this, where, as you can see, I have my white piece right here, and then I can move it up like that, and then it will make a 3-piece bar. Now to put the last one in, I found it right here. I'm going to move it to the side, and then we move it up, and that will make the first 4-piece bar. We have our first middle bar solved. Now we have to make the second middle bar because I normally go inside, then we go outside because it is a little bit easier. So we found this edge piece right here, and this middle bar will go next to the other middle bar. And we have this middle piece and this edge piece. Now what we need to do here is we need to rotate this piece twice so it's down right there, and then we move that back because then it will make the 2-piece bar. Now we have this other edge piece, and we need to do a F2 again, and then we'll move it back so it makes that bar. Now if you have a piece like, let's say this one, and it is on the bottom right here, it can either go on the bottom but it can't go on the top. If you understand what I'm saying, I mean that some pieces, the edge pieces in the middle, they either can go on the bottom or the top. They can't go on both because it is not a completely symmetrical cube with a middle piece. So you need it to either go on the bottom or the top, but it can't go on both. So now we need a centerpiece, which is right here on the bottom, and this is the top because it has that right there. What we're going to do is we're going to move it up, and we don't need to rotate it and then move it down like you do in some cubes because there's no other bars there. So then we can just move it to the side and then it's in. We need our last one, which is right here, and we can just move it down like that twice and then put it in. So now we have our second bar solved. Now for the third one, we see these 2 edges go together, and then there's that corner right there. We need one last corner, which would be right here. We can move it to the side, move it there. Then we have our bar, and we'll just have to rotate the bottom, and then we can make that bar. And this is basically what you do for the whole first 2 centers, but once you get more centers solved, it gets a little bit more difficult. So you just make the bar pieces one by one, and then you just insert them into where the other center pieces are. And then once you have all 4 bars, then you'll have to move on to the yellow center. Now 6x6, you always know that the yellow center is above the white center, but you also need to know that you need to, since it's an even cube and this only happens on even cubes because they don't have an exact centerpiece, you need to make sure that you orient the cube right, which would mean that white and yellow are opposite. Then it would go with white. On the left side, it would go blue, red, green, orange. And that is how we solve centers here. So you need to make sure you orient it right on a 6x6. And if you don't orient it right, I'll show you how to do that in more towards the end of the video. The timestamp will be right here. Boo! And that is where you will find that part in the end of the video. So we have this bar right here. What we need to do is move that piece up. Then we need to move the top piece, do a U-turn, so it is out of the way, because then we have to move that bar down so it restores the white center on the bottom, and then we have that right there. Now in this case, what you can do is this edge piece would go right here. So to make the bar, what you can do is you can move that down, then you rotate the other bar, the 3-piece bar like that, and then you move it up, and then it makes that bar. Now we have to make our next bar, which would be, let's see here. So we have these 3 pieces right here. We need our last center, so these are the 3 that we're working with. Our last center is right there. So we'll put it in, make that pair, and then when you're moving a piece up, so you want to put it on the top, but there's already a center, if you go like this, then you can't then you have to move it down so it won't work. But what you have to do is you have to make sure that they're both on the same side. Then you will move it up, then do a U2 and move it down, and that will put both bars on the top. Now we have these 2 center edge pieces, so we'll rotate it until they're both on the same side, and then we'll pair them together. I had a corner piece right there, which is nice, that helped me. And then to put it in, we just put it up top, then we'll do a U2, then put it down. Now we have our last one, so we would need to rotate this one out of the way because it's not in the bar. We have already started this bar, which is nice. So we'll rotate this piece so it's like that, then we'll put it in, and that makes the 3-piece bar. And then we will rotate this one so we can just slice it over and move it in. Now, like I said before, when making the middle bars, if you move it up, it breaks the white center. So you need to rotate it twice, move it up then do a U2, then move it down. And then you have your yellow center solved. So now here, what I like to do is just make centers as quick as I can. So I make the quickest center that I can. So if we look around the cube and examine it, we see that we already have this bar for red, but we also have this bar for blue. So I'm gonna go with the blue ones because it has more pieces in it, and then we can make that bar. But if we want to make 2 bars, what we need to do is pair it together like that, and then we can move it down, and that makes almost 2 bars. Now we just need to move the corner piece to the top and put another piece with it, and then we can move it in, and that will make the 2 bars. So I try to make it as quick as I can, and since this is a 6x6, I'll go over the how to orient it right in the end. So when you're first starting making them, you don't really need to orient it right. You just need to make them as quick as you can. So I make this bar right here, and then I can put that bar up like that. And then since it's our first center, we don't need to put it in a special way. Now we have our last bar, which is a somewhat easy one. And then we can put that blue center together. Now if we search for other ones, I have this red one right here. Now normally red would go under blue, but if the red bar would be over here, then you need to move it so that the red, so then we'll just make the red bar on the bottom. If this red bar was like this, if it was on the bottom, then we'll just make the red on the bottom and we'll orient it in the end. So I have this red bar right here. What I can do is make this bar, because I have this corner, then we'll move it down, rotate it to the side, and move it up, so then we have the bar. We'll make it vertical so it doesn't get broken up. Then we have this bar already. We have this piece right here, and we can put it up there, but there's a specific way you need to do it. So what we could do is move it up like that, rotate it to the side so that when it moves down, it won't be like that. Then we rotate this one twice to the side and then move it down. And then to put it in, we can just rotate it up, move it to the side, and then put it down. And then we can put it like that, make the bar, and then put that slice back. So now we have this bar done. Now we'll go to the next one, which is a somewhat easy one because we can pair it together like that, move it to the side, move it down, and since we're in this spot, we need to put them in the same bar place, so we can put it like that, and then do a U2 like always, and then move it down. Now if we're in this case, what we need to do is, we have that piece there, we make that bar, which is the 2-piece bar. Then we'll put this piece, we see this center right here, we'll move it down like that, move it to the side, then move it back up. And then we have this last corner piece, we can move down, move it to the side, and then move it up. Now if you're solving a 6x6 or 5x5 or 7x7, you would, if you're following me with a 7x7, you can just make the bars whichever way you need to, and since 7x7 has an exact center, you don't need to worry about orienting it in the end, you just go off the middle center, and that's the same for 5x5. So we'll move it down, do U2, then move it up, and then we are on our last 2 centers. So the last 2 centers are widely known as the hardest part of solving the big cubes, because as you can see, I'm using green and orange, and they're just spread out amongst these 2 center pieces. So you can make bars, but bars only go so far. You can't make bars in some cases. So what you would need to do is use commutators, and commutators switch it piece by piece, but they take a little while longer. So what you want to do is make bars until you can't make bars anymore. So in this case, I have this 3-piece bar, and I have this piece, and it would go right there. As you can see, if I rotate the center piece, it'd go right there. So I already have this 1 bar on top, and I have this other mostly bar, which is the 3-piece bar. So what I need to make sure is that this is a broken bar. And it is, because if I were to do it like this, then it would break the bar. So I need to make sure that this isn't a bar. So then I'd move it down like that, rotate to the side, and then move it up. And that will make the bar. Now I have this right here, and this is a trick. If you have 2 bars that are connected to each other, what you need to do is find a piece that is connecting them. So since the corner piece is connecting them, I need to find another corner piece. And what you do is you move the corner piece up, rotate the cube to the side where this is out of the way, then move it down. And that makes the bar right like that. And we have this piece right here. What we want to do is we want to keep as much pieces on top as we can. So we put it up because, as you can see, this has 2 pieces right here. This only has 1. So we need to move it up like that, and then the two pieces will come down, and then it will look like that. So now we have our last two. Now here is where the commutators come in. This is the most important part of this video. Make sure you stay tuned. This is what you call a commutator. It switches two pieces, and it works very well, but you need to know it on big cubes. So if I were to ask you anything on this video, and if I were to want you to learn anything from this video, it would be how to properly use a commutator. So what you need to do is, I'm going to switch this centerpiece right here. So the centerpiece that goes with it is right here. What you need to do is move it under. So as you can see, I put it right where it's supposed to go. So if I were to move it up like that, then it'd be right where it needs to go. So what you do is you move it under, and you move it up like that, right where it needs to go. Then you rotate the bar that it's in to the side. You move that bar up also. Then you move that to the side, move that down like that bar, and then you move the other bar to the side and move that down. And then you see that piece is in. So that's how you properly use a commutator on a centerpiece. Now we'll do some more commutator practice after I solve these last two centers, but we need to do that same thing for the edge. So what we do is we put it right under where it's supposed to go. We move it up like that, rotate that to the side, wrong piece. We move this middle piece up, rotate it back to the side, move that down, and then we rotate that one down. And that would solve all of the four centers. Now I have three more pieces to practice on for using commutators, because these commutators are good practice and they're very important. Now if you're using a commutator, you can occasionally put two pieces together. So for example, if let's just say this side piece ended up to be right here, or it would be a center side piece if it ended up to be right here, or if it ended up to be right here and this piece ended up to be right here. So if this one went right here and that one went right there, then that would make the bar that we could put in like there. So if you have a bar, it can't be more than three pieces, but if you have a two-piece bar, then you can put it in using a commutator. So that we would use a commutator to put a two-piece bar in, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So first, we'll put this corner piece in. We'll put it right under where it's supposed to go, move it up, rotate it to the side, move that piece up, rotate it back, down, then down. Now we have our next one, which is right here. It's already under where it needs to go. We rotate it up, then we rotate, or move that piece up, then we rotate back, down, down. Then we have our last one right here. Up, rotate it, up, rotate down, rotate down. So what I normally use to practice is you just need to know the saying up, rotate, rotate down. And you're only doing U's and U primes, and you also will only be doing like slice moves or edge moves. In 4x4, you don't need to use commutators because those pieces are all the same corners. So you don't really need to use commutators in 4x4s because there's another specific way to solve it. But these commutators are very essential, as I have been saying. You really need to know what a commutator is in solving a big cube. Now that we're done with solving commutators, this is the last part of the video where I teach you guys how to orient the cube. Now, as you can see, the green, it would normally go blue, red, green, orange. And since the green and the orange are still in their right spot, the white is always on the left and the yellow is always on the right. We need to do, so the green and orange are already in their spot, so what we need to do is flip these two pieces. So we need to flip the blue centers and the red centers. Now instead of just using commutators or the bar method to flip it, what we need to do is just flip it simply like you do with a 4x4. So we would do right side up, U2, right side down, then we do left side up, U2, left side down. And that flips them. So you can just do that on a 6x6, but this is only essential for even cubes. You don't do this on odd cubes because there's always the middle center. So you always do the right half. You don't just do one single right side. You always do half of it. So if you're using any other big cube, you just do half of the cube up. And that's how you swap two center pieces. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video and allowing me to teach you how to solve big cube centers. They really help once you learn how to solve them properly and how to properly use commutators, and it really helps using the bars. So thank you guys so much for watching this video.